Sorry it took so long. We're going to do the next part 2 of my career stories. Again, the reason I'm doing this is because I've been asked to write a book. That usually works for people who are retired and are looking back on their memories and want to write about their legacy. And I'm very fortunate to be able to tell you that I'm not there yet. I'm still working. I've still got a studio. I've still got work every day. We got movies I'm going to direct. It's just real busy. But this is a great way to put it down. And if somebody wants to write a book, well, then they can go watch all these videos and they'll have all the material they need. So, with that said, last time we talked about how I got started. And one of the things I didn't go into, and Mary very smartly brought up to me, what about the Dick Smith Handbook for makeup, monster making? Yeah, that was a huge one, a huge one. I mean, that's the one that really, I remember getting that and going, oh God, it's so cool. I could make myself as a werewolf or Dracula and all this kind of stuff. And of course, none of the materials are available to me locally. And my mother really didn't have an interest in my getting into that. So she didn't help me. Nobody around helped me. So I did the best I could, making myself up as werewolves and things like that. But that's what really got me thinking, wow, I'd really like to make monsters. And you have to admit, if you're a monster maker, and a lot of you are, you can't beat it. So that book had a huge influence on me. I'm looking at my list. Yeah, I've got to that part where so much is going on in my hard drive that if I don't write down a list, I can't remember stuff to talk to you about. The other thing was I talked about the making of 2001. This is my original copy. I still have it. Look at the amazing condition it's in with all the pictures and stuff. This is what really was a gateway for me to being a filmmaker and a prop maker and making models and stuff. In fact, I had an 8mm camera I got from my mother, and it had single frame on it. And I remember taking a Matt Masterson, was it Matt Masterson? Astronaut figure about this big, and it had a wire armature in it. You could bend it. And then I had the monogram Gemini space capsule, and I set up a whole rig in my bedroom with stars behind it and animated this whole scene. I wish I still had it, where the astronaut comes out. And I remember when I got that footage back from being developed, I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world. Wow, look what I did. And you know, you can still do these things today. It's a little easier in video. But this book had a big influence. Another one that had a big influence I didn't talk about last time was this one, Stanley Kubrick Directs. I don't know if this book's still available or not, but this interviewer, Alexander Walker, interviewed Kubrick, and it's really in depth and it's great. And it just captured my imagination. I said, you know what, I want to make films. And guess what? I did. But we're going to talk about that later. And then, of course, the book, 2001, which came out after the movie. There's a lot of talk about they should have made the movie more like the book. Well, the book wasn't first. The book was second. And the movie is what it is, a great movie. So I wanted to talk about those. I did talk a bit about Ricky Schwartz. We got to the part where I went to the conventions and Ricky Schwartz showed me actual prosthetics from the Planet of the Apes that he acquired in his travels. And he did know John Chambers, and I made a trip down, I remember once, and I met some people. But Ricky was, you know, a lot of people, you know, he was a studio thief. He was known for it. If something wasn't bolted down, he'd pick it up. He didn't need the money. It was the excitement. I don't know what. But because of Ricky, 90% of the molds from Planet of the Apes, and I can tell you this for sure, are still in existence because of Ricky, and the costumes and everything else, because he got hold of all that stuff and then it ended up in everybody's collections. And if he hadn't kind of had sticky fingers to get it, none of us would have it today, because the studios just destroyed stuff. So Ricky helped me a great deal getting down in Hollywood and introducing it to people. He didn't have to do it. He took me around to everybody. He said, this guy's really good, you need to know him. And he helped my career a lot. So I wanted to talk about that. And I just did. Coming to LA, I talked about coming to, I think, ApeCon. I might not have, but yes, I did. I talked about ApeCon. I certainly wrote about it, which was at the American Legion Hall, right near the Hollywood Bowl. It's still there today, and it was kind of an odd place for a convention after being in nice hotels and stuff, but that's where they could afford to have the convention. And I came to LA dressed in makeup and a costume, and was allowed on the airplane. I called them ahead of time to tell them what I wanted to do a few days in advance, and they had me come down there. And I got on the plane, and it was amazing experience to come here that way and sleep in the makeup is something I'll never do. I slept overnight in the makeup, and I made up some people in the morning and went to ApeCon. But that really got me started. I met a lot of people. It was really, really cool. I also didn't talk in too much detail about the American Zoetrope. Francis was a truly nice human being, and he just let me do whatever I wanted to do there, pretty much within reason. He would even drive me home when my Alfa Romeo was broken down and I was being in the repair shop. He'd take me to the bus stop. We went to concerts together and parties together, and with the rest of the people in the American Zoetrope. Bart Patton was a good friend. That was a great experience. I got to meet Sidney Poitier there. I got to meet Arthur C. Clarke. I'll never forget it. I was editing, and I heard this voice behind me, and I heard, "Excuse me." And I turned around, and there's Arthur C. Clarke standing there. And my memory of it is amazing because it's just like something out of a movie. I turn around, he's standing there, suit and tie, looking fit as a fiddle, and he's got a briefcase. And on the briefcase, and I knew that he had this on his briefcase, was an Apollo 11 patch. And so I looked at him and I said, "Oh, hello." He says, do you know where Francis is?" And I said, "He's in one of the other editorial rooms." And he said, "Well, thank you very much, son." And I said, "Nice to meet you." And he said, "Nice to meet you." And he walked off. And I never got to talk to him again. But at least I had that moment in time, which was a gateway. The whole experience at the Zoetrope was a gateway to me meeting and working with all kinds of amazing people that we'll talk about as we continue on with these short pieces about my career. While I was at the American Zoetrope, we know that Francis wrote The Godfather, but Mario Puzo I think he wrote with him, and it was he was the main story writer on the show, and I'll never forget hanging out with him. He was really, really cool. And then one day I'm sitting there with Mario, and he's saying, "Hey kid, you like Chinese food, you know?" And he was this Italian sort of mob type of guy, but very, very nice, real amazing charisma. And I said, "Yeah," he says, "I'm going to get us some Chinese food. What do you like?" And then as I'm saying this, I look up, and there's Sidney Poitier playing billiards on the billiards table that was in the front room, the waiting room at the American Zoetrope. It was just an amazing experience, and I've always been grateful to Francis because that was really my film school. And meanwhile I was working there, I was working in my friend Mike's garage because I wasn't living at home anymore. I was using his garage to do experimentation with doing makeups and then applying them to local people who would come at Halloween and pay me lots of money to make them up as an ape or a creature. So we're running out of time here. Working on the Planet of the Apes TV show. After I left, everybody closed down at the Zoetrope, went to Hollywood. So I decided to do the same thing. I came down here, and because I had these skills as a makeup artist already that I learned on my own, I ran into people. I met Rick Baker. I met Joe Velasco. I met Joe Velasco. I did a little bit of internship with him and got to work with some amazing people. But eventually this led to me joining the makeup union. And when they started the Planet of the Apes TV show, they needed so many makeup artists that the B list was picked. And I got to go in and work for a few days, which got me right in the heart of it, right in the trailer. I remember being in the trailer in the morning, getting ready to make up people. They had all these appliances and prosthetics laid out and vacuum formed heads of the actors. And there was John Chambers, as colorful he was, coming in the morning. And then Roddy came in, and he was in a bathrobe, and he's saying, "Good morning, everyone." He was just so bouncy and full of life. And I was in hog heaven. I mean, here I was in the heart of it. Something I really loved, and I was there. I got to be there and work on those things. And it just, I'm grateful for it every day. And of course, I got to know Rick Baker very well. We became friends, and it kind of went from there. And we'll talk about that in part 3.